handling exceptions is an important part of building a robust application. With Spring Boot, we have multiple ways of handling exceptions. So remember, so inside of this resource right here, so this controller, in fact, so customer controller version 2, remember we added this method right here, so get customer, where we pass the customer ID. Now let's go inside here, and here we actually get the customers, and then if we can't find the customer, we throw an error, so customer not found. So let's actually see this in action. So let me actually go back to Postman, and the same with our annotations. In fact, so here, so if I open up customer, so remember we talked about this message not being reflected in the response. So we simply get that it's a bad request, but we have no message. But basically the client doesn't know what happened, right? And usually when we want to deal with client error or internal server errors, we want to be more specific so that the clients can handle the exception in a proper way. Now let's go ahead and actually try to fetch a customer with ID 1. So here I'm going to send 1. So API v2 customers and then 1. In fact, I think let's just check something. So inside of, I think we are using the customer repo. So in here we have ID 1, right? So if I send this request, oh, actually, this is not post, but it should be a get. So let's send a get request, and you can see that the method was not allowed. So send, you can see that we have to do implement RealDB. But in fact, let's just change the configuration here. So I'm going to change this and change this to true. So I want to change this to true because I want to use the fake one, because right now we don't have any customers with a real implementation. So that again we will cover later, and I'll show you how to connect to a real database. So let's go back to Postman now, and if I send this request, you can see that now we have James Bond. If I send customer 2, so ID 2, we have Jamila Ahmed, and if we send customer 3, boom, there we go. So you can see that we have a status code 500, and this says that this was an internal server error. And in fact, we know that the client has sent the wrong ID. So ID 3 does not exist, but the client doesn't know about it, right? So 500 means that it's an internal server error, but we can handle this much better. So here you can see that the struct trace says that customer not found, right? But the client doesn't know anything about it. And in fact, let's just change this to customer with ID blah not found. So open up the service, so customer service, and in here, let me put this on a new line. This is actually becoming too long, but hopefully you get the gist. So I've got a really big font, that's why the code looks like this. So customer, and then I'm going to say, let's just use the plus. So plus on both sides, just like that. And then I'm going to say customer with ID, and then I'm going to say ID not found. If I reload, go back, and then send the request, 500 again, but this time if I scroll up, you can see that customer with ID, and I'm missing a space here, so in here a space, you can see that customer with ID 3 not found. So you can see that the client doesn't know anything about it, right? It just knows that there was an internal server error. So in this section, let's focus and understand how to handle and throw properly exceptions with Spring Boot.